Mayor Daley, if you don't mind me asking, how many folks are you guys going to get in your football stadium this fall?
I'll tell you what, as of right now, we're going to be looking at full capacity. Our numbers in Tallahassee look great. Our vaccination numbers look great. The university's playing a good role. So that's going to be about 80 to 85,000 if we keep heading in the right direction. Now, we're not afraid to pull the plug if not.
Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed. That'll be good to see.
Dante, I need you to watch my Lady Knowles play tonight in softball. We're playing for the national championship against Oklahoma City. First game's tonight. When we win, we'll play the second and final game tomorrow night.
All right.
It's good stuff.
Who are you playing tonight?
Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we beat Alabama last night in the Super Regional, and tonight we face off against Oklahoma for the championship.
So I may be wrong, but I thought they hosted the softball World Series somewhere in Oklahoma. Are you at a disadvantage, or?
Oklahoma City is where I believe they're hosting it in Oklahoma City, which obviously can be a big disadvantage because they're gonna pack the stadium. But
yeah,
hey, we're gonna be there in spirit from Tallahassee. We're gonna carry the Lady Knowles through to a big national victory.
All right. Well, I'll keep my eye on it, and I'll think about you, and I'll pull for you.
Sounds great. You'll know real quick whether we won or not tomorrow when we get together for the jury. I hope Mayor Shelton's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw in the chat, he had to jump off because they had a tornado warning hit.
Yes, yeah, I saw that.
Bless his heart. Yeah, you don't wish that on anybody. Angela, you're doing a great job.
Thank you, Mayor. You are making it easy.
Everybody else always has so much more intelligent questions than me, but that's okay. Terry always has the best questions, right?
Not hardly. I love the role you play just in terms of lifting up all the applications because they need to hear that because I know they're sweating bullets as they're going through.
I know. And you're absolutely right. Sometimes they just need to hear the rah, great job. Try to find something really cool and unique and point it out, make them feel good, you know. I agree with you. And they are doing all a great job.
They are. Making our job harder.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is true.
Jumping back on, I am again fighting our live stream, and I will let you know we are good to go, but there's still people.
Glad to see you back, Mayor Shelton.
Thank you. That was the siren started going off. Had to run to the safe space real quick, but it looks like it's missed us. It's still a little bit sketchy outside though.
Yeah, Jason, good to see you, man. Sorry that y'all had to deal with that today.
Oh, well, thank you. We got hit by EF1 tornado May 2nd. It's just, I don't know. Boy, we're having a string of bad luck lately.
Hey, we've had 3 in Tallahassee in 7 months.
Mm.
And
It's
it's
no fun.
the beginning of hurricane season.
Yeah, that's no fun.
Okay, well, I think we're all back. No, we're not.
Quite. I think we're missing Cece. And someone, who else are we missing?
I think just Cece. But I do want to go ahead and keep us on schedule. Sorry for taking everyone's breakup with that last block. It went a little over, but I do want to go ahead and open the room up to Fitzgerald, Georgia. We'll do shortly. Welcome, Fitzgerald. Welcome. Can we do a quick sound check?
Hey there, hello.
Great, I can hear you. Is anyone going to be sharing a video or photos so that I need to make them a co-host?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, is anyone going to be sharing a video or photos, in which case I'll need to make them a co-host?
Yes, ma'am. I will be sharing videos and photos during the presentation.
And what is your Zoom name?
It's Michael Wise. Oh, actually, it's in here. It's Amy Paul. I'm sorry, Amy Paul. New.
Amelia Paul has been made co-host, and just remember when you're sharing a video to make sure you share the sound with us on that feature as well. And with that, I will hand you over to our jury foreperson, Angela Romans. Angela?
Excellent. All right. Fitzgerald, Georgia, are you ready to begin?
We are ready.
Excellent. Then you may begin.
How do you build an equitable community? In Fitzgerald, we do it by seeking to ensure everyone has economic opportunity and a shot at a good quality of life. Welcome to Fitzgerald, Georgia, the town the Wall Street Journal named the recruiting colossus from nowhere. My name is Jim Bucket, and I'm the very proud mayor of Fitzgerald, Georgia. Since the late 1960s, when the cotton mill and garment factories left, we've preached the importance of good jobs to the survival of our rural community. Without a 4-lane connector, we still have averaged over 30 manufacturing entities in a county of 18,000 over the last 50 years. But we came to realize in the late 90s, jobs alone do not make a community. We went to work on cleaning up neighborhoods, incentivizing workforce housing, developing our cultural offerings, and supporting our students, and most of all, listening to our people. Today, you will hear the story of our redevelopment program, our grassroots racial equity initiative, and our college and career academy. You will see our successful after-school program in the cultural and entertainment showcase. All of these initiatives have one simple goal: to improve the quality of life for our citizens so everyone can take advantage of our economic opportunity.
In 1896, over 2,500 Union veterans brought their families south to the Utah and Fitzgerald, Georgia. Within a year, about 700 Confederate veterans joined. The mile-and-a-quarter square planned city was built out in no time. Fast forward a century later, and hundreds of these original structures had reached the end of their useful life. Adding insult to injury, workers in our thriving manufacturing economy were driving to adjacent counties to buy parcel of land to trade on because no one was building affordable housing in Fitzgerald. Mayor Gerald Thompson saw the problem and commissioned the first rural redevelopment program in the state of Georgia, later used as a statewide model. Today, nearly 700 blocks have been eradicated, close to 650 units of affordable workforce housing have been established, including the first tax credit project in rural Georgia. We won 2 state and 1 federal award, but most importantly, until the pandemic, anyone who had one of our good manufacturing jobs could find an affordable place to rent and buy. To maintain this minimum recession, we raised $2.2 million in federal NHP funds into new houses and rehab foreclosures, saving not only neighborhoods, but a lot of jobs for local contractors that had no work. As we emerge from the pandemic, our job numbers are better than the national average today, and we're continuing to battle life and search for equitable housing opportunities. A little over 10 years ago, we found there was a disconnect between the education system in Benton County, our community, and our employers in business and industry. While the work-based learning program at Fitzgerald High School was one of the best in South Georgia, this alone was not preparing students to become members of the workforce community. In addition, very few students were taking advantage of dual enrollment opportunities at the local technical college or any college for that matter. We needed to find a solution to strengthen partnerships. So Fitzgerald High School, Wiregrass Georgia Technical College, the city of Fitzgerald, Benton County, and business and industry were brought together. In 2013, the annual Education Summit of Fitzgerald, Benton County was formed. The goal of the Education Summit was to come up with solutions to better connect education and the workforce. One of the suggestions was to apply for the College and Career Academy grant that the state of Georgia was offering. A team was assembled to explore the possibility of turning Fitzgerald High School into Fitzgerald High School College and Career Academy, and a board of directors was formed. The board of directors wanted to make the academy a wall-to-wall academy that would include every student at FHS. We felt that every student deserved to be given the opportunity to benefit from what a college and career academy could provide. In the fall of 2017, we applied for a $3.2 million grant that was denied the first year. However, we were convinced that the College and Career Academy model was best for us, and we started making the transition even without the grant. The following year, we were awarded the $3.2 million grant from the state of Georgia. So in 2020, construction of the Fitzgerald High School College and Career Academy began. The Fitzgerald High School College and Career Academy offers students the ability to choose academic academies and pathways that best interest them. They can take dual enrollment classes and participate in work-based learning programs. Students can choose from the following academies. Our Freshman Discovery Academy allows them to sample different pathways so they can make a decision for the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years. The AIM Academy, as we call it, is agriculture, industrial, and manufacturing jobs. Allied Health covers the nursing and healthcare pathways. Education and Human Services covers teaching as a profession and culinary arts. Our STEAM Academy, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, also is one of our favorite, is a favorite of the students. We also created a contest that we call Flex. Flex is an entrepreneur contest. Flex stands for Fitzgerald Leadership and Entrepreneur Experience. Flex is a 3-round competition open to all students. Participants quickly become business owners by launching their ideas into legitimate businesses and operating while gaining real-life experiences. Take a look at some of our Flex highlights.
Audio Jungle.
From marching for justice to discussions about community equality and equity to building and forming lasting relationships. For Change Talk After the Walk forums began a year ago after a community march denouncing social injustices around the world. From the march and due to the pandemic, virtual discussions on Zoom were started. Our first forum, Sharing Your Community from Your Point of View, included government officials, law enforcement officers, and local community citizens. Forums have sparked more than 15 virtual topics and discussions relative to building a more equitable community. Topics such as unifying community, what will it take, equitable healthcare in communities, to equitable education for all, has brought different panelists with a diverse group of community citizens. Conversations, however uncomfortable, have been respectful and understanding. Stemming from the forum and community perspective that there may be two Fitzgeralds, a community-wide survey was implemented to give the community voice and an opportunity to tell their story. Survey results, which are posted on the Talk After the Walk survey Facebook page, give the city the opportunity for transparency and opportunities for roundtable discussions that seek unified solutions. Partnerships have been formed, such as guest panelists, nurse practitioner Sabrina Taylor, collaborating with the Monitoring Enrichment Program for Health Equality. The Mayor's Council has started two committees that evolved from the forum discussions, the Fitzgerald Ministerial Council and the Fitzgerald Youth Leadership Council. Notably, is the Fitzgerald Multicultural Worship Services that are planned to bridge our communities of faith closer together. Many who have participated in our surveys, forums, and events have stated that our efforts are a step in the right direction. Panelist Andre Bernard Brantley, a recruiter from Harris Young College in Young Harris, Georgia, stated, "We aren't where we need to be, but we aren't where we used to be."
This is how we build a community in Fitzgerald. We see that everyone who wants a job can have one. We see that they have the opportunity for a decent, safe place to live. We see there are cultural opportunities. We see our children are educated to fill our jobs and want to return here to live and raise their families. And finally, we listen to all those in our community seeking to tell us who we may have missed. That's Fitzgerald, and I hope to see you here soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Fitzgerald.
Thank you.
There we go. Now we can see us all. And let's see what questions the jury has for Fitzgerald, Georgia. Let's start off with Josh.
Thank you for a very wonderful presentation. It seemed to give a lot of different initiatives going on in Fitzgerald. I wanted to zoom in a little bit on your housing program. It seems like it's a multifaceted housing program. Looking at it from different populations within your jurisdiction, in terms of those that perhaps are more likely to be housing insecure and have challenges acquiring stable housing. Do you have any outreach programs that are specifically tailored towards certain cohorts of your residents for this program?
Could you repeat the last part of the question? Target toward who?
I'm sorry?
Could you repeat the last part of the question again?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, are there certain approaches that you have with your redevelopment program that helps match up populations within your city that are typically more housing insecure with these potential housing options?
All right, I'm gonna say yes. That's the sound of progress. Yes, sir. I'm sitting here asking about our outreach. We've been doing numerous kinds of outreach. Most of our manufacturing industries allow us to come into their plants because they know that workers that own homes are better workers than workers that don't have that sense of responsibility. We've also reached into the Hispanic community and several housing fairs dedicated for the Hispanic community. One of our most successful outreaches was working through neighborhood churches. There was a period where we were having trouble getting applications, and I spoke in literally every neighborhood church in Fitzgerald. And within 30, 60 days, we had over 60 applications in hand. So you have to go where your market is, and that's what we try to do. We have a public hearing. We hold a public hearing in a church in that neighborhood because nobody likes to come to City Hall. You have to go where your market is.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you. What other questions do jury members have? I'll jump in with one, which is about the Fitzgerald for Change project. And I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about what success looks like in that project and how you're measuring success with such a kind of wide-ranging initiative.
Success for us is making sure that the largest part of our community has a voice, which is the African American community. And for the first time, we have more, well, our survey, for example, we had a survey result that ended with the largest part of our community having answered the largest part of the survey, which is the first time we have ever had that. Also, we've had a lot of opportunity to sit down with the city and share and voice concerns and seek immediate steps towards getting things done, such as the partnership that we mentioned in our presentation with Sabrina Taylor hooking up with the Wellington Richmond program to bring healthcare right in the middle of our community and not having people that have to go across town to look for it. We've had a lot of success, and it's very success by the opportunities that are presented. I don't think there's one thing we brought to the city that we haven't had an opportunity to see that it come forward and materialize almost instantly. Also, when we have our forums and people, the community is speaking voice, and we have the city, the police department, every stakeholder that would have something to do with the city has a voice on those forums and is able to get their points across. And whether it's a founded issue or non-founded issue, we're able to hear it, and people want to be heard. People just want to know somebody is listening, and that's the opportunity that Fitzgerald for Change is giving to the community.
Great, thank you so much. And let's get Mayor Daley in with the next question.
Mayor, how are you doing today?
Yes, sir.
Hey, y'all put together a really good application. Certainly do appreciate it. I'm actually kind of familiar with your community. I loved in your application too, you talk about the revitalization of downtown. Two-part question. Number one, you talk about the impact of the film industry in South Georgia and with your revitalization efforts, how that's positively impacted y'all in your local economy. Expand on that story just a little bit.
Sure. A couple of years ago, we had bringing the film industry to South Georgia has always been in our plan, but it happened a little quicker than we thought it was going to because we had a local actor who had a little success in movies and was able to bring some names to Fitzgerald a lot quicker than we expected. So over the past 2 years, we filmed 3 Bruce Willis movies here. We filmed, I think, 2 more total here with more, probably 3 more coming in the next 90 days. Which brings, these are your smaller $10 to $12 million probably budget movies right now. They are, but instead, you're bringing a crew of 50 to 60 people here who eat in your restaurants, who stay in your hotels, who stay in your Airbnbs, who frequent your other retailers. It's definitely been a positive, and it's pretty neat. Very recently, we got to see the very first movie, Lena and Snowball, shown in our downtown historic Grand Theater. And when you're sitting in your theater watching a movie featuring your town, it gives you chills. It's a pretty cool feeling.
That's good stuff. Can I have one follow-up, Angela? All right, Mayor, I can't find it, but I made the note when I was reading through your application about the big chicken downtown.
Well, it wouldn't be a
Come on
question
now.
if you didn't ask about the big chicken.
You got to talk about the big chicken.
Exactly. If you come to Fitzgerald, we have wild birdie chickens all over our town, and that's a long story about how they got there. The Department of Agriculture started the program, I don't know how many years ago. We ended up with these birdie chickens all over town. If you come up to a red light on Main Street, we have a beautiful downtown area with cobblestones and old historic buildings, and you're just liable to come to a red light and see a family of chickens and chicks go across in front. And we also have a city ordinance that can't mess with it. They're important. So what we found was that when we bring people to Fitzgerald, whether it be to look at starting an industry here or build a factory or involve a Japanese delegation here a couple of years ago, ultimately, really quickly, they want to, one of the first things they say is, hey, can we go see the chickens? And so one day I decided that, you know what, we're going to build a chicken. And so we started doing some research, and we did a lot of research on towns like Casey, Illinois, who builds big things. Casey, Illinois was a town of about 3,000 who built the world's largest rocking chair and the world's largest mailbox and things like that. Now you can't even get into that town on the weekend because so many tourists are there. We looked at Helen, Georgia, who completely reinvented themselves many years ago. They started making all their storefronts be alpine ski lodge type things. And so we put a lot of research into this, and we decided to put a 62-foot topiary chicken. And for several reasons. One, the guy that builds these things, Topiary Joe, builds these things for Disney, he builds these things for Steven Spielberg, corporate America, all over. He's got his own website. It's pretty cool. You can't make this stuff up. And so when we looked at doing this, my first order of business in the state of Georgia, in Marietta, Georgia, which is Metro Atlanta, we have what's called the Big Chicken. And I said, let's find out. It's a Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise. It's been there forever. And it's a landmark there. So I told my deputy administrator, Ken Jordan, I said, hey, let's find out how big that big chicken is, and let's build ours 2 feet taller so we'll have the largest in the state of Georgia. So that's what we did. We found out it was 56, we were going to go 58. Topiary Joe comes and says, hey, Mayor, the largest topiary in the world is in Dubai. It's 59.5 feet. If you go to 62, you'll have the largest topiary in Georgia and in the world. So that's what we're doing. In the meantime, we've also put an Airbnb in it. You're going to be able to rent the chicken out and stay in it. I've got people wanting to stay there for their wedding. I've got people calling from all over the country, literally, and saying, hey, Mayor, I'd like to come stay in that chicken. I got my credit card in hand. I'll book it right now.
Mayor, I love it. That's a great story. And hey, that's a good way to bring people downtown. Congratulations.
That's all it's intended to do. It's already got us on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, so we're getting there.
Well, all right. I missed that that storytelling. I grew up in Georgia, so I've heard my share of similar, maybe not chicken, well, some chicken stories too. Thank you, Mayor. And thank you so much, Fitzgerald, Georgia, for bringing your whole community together, for sharing your stories, and for coming together and on behalf of change. So keep doing what you're doing. And thank you so much for being an All-America City finalist.
Thank you as well.
Thank you, Fitzgerald. We are now encouraging you to continue watching on the main stage, but we are now going to usher in the good folks from Kansas City.
Hi, Rebecca. We'll need co-hosts of Beth Brittenstein and KCMO presentation.
Beth Brittenstein and who else?
KCMO presentation.
Okay.
Also known as Jose Gonzalez. Okay. Are you ready at your end, Rebecca?
Yes, they have both been made co-hosts, so I'm going to hand it over to Angela, who will invite you to begin.
All right, Kansas City, Missouri, are you ready to begin?
Believe we are ready.
Fantastic. Then you may begin.
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Hernandez. I am with the City Manager's Office. In Kansas City, we believe that an all-America city is a city that serves all of its residents. We want every single resident to be active and engaged in our civic life. But to get that participation, we know that our residents must know that they are valued by their city leadership. They must be able to access all of our city services, no matter which neighborhood they live in, no matter their socioeconomic status. We must deliver equity in city services the same way that we pick up the trash, the curb, patch the potholes, and deliver water to homes. Equity for our residents drives all three of the projects that we will present to you today. And we want to show you why Kansas City is an all-America city. So let's start by taking a look at Kansas City.
Kansas City is a city of champions, celebrating both World Series and Super Bowl victories. We're the city of fountains in the heart of the nation. The pride our residents have in our city is reflected in our civic engagement. We invite residents to speak out, to impact public policy through our Speak Easy sessions, like this one, to help plan the budget. Engagement and equity are part of all three projects we present to the All-America City Committee. Our KC Spirit Playbook outreach gathers feedback both online and in person, with community events rolling out as the pandemic ends. So far, there are more than 25,000 visits to the KC Spirit Playbook website, where we're gathering feedback to help create our comprehensive plan. Grassroots efforts by our residents helped create the KC Streetcar, and we shared every step of the journey with residents, from laying the first rail to installing the first platform. And we purposely created a system with 0 fares. That's right, it's free to ride for everyone, every time. That's equity. Parks should be the same quality in every neighborhood, right? LifeX brings a new focus on maintaining and improving parks across the city, so that everyone can benefit from improved health and a longer lifespan. These three projects are just a part of why Kansas City is an all-America city.
Now, Kansas City is an all-America city because of our innovation and our resilience. We think big, we think smart, and most of all, we think about our residents and what's best for them. Community engagement has been incredibly important for each of our three projects. We've been talking to our residents, listening to their ideas and their issues, and then using that feedback as we make decisions. Our Director of City Planning and Development, Jeff Williams, is here to present the KC Spirit Playbook, Kansas City's Next Gen Comprehensive Plan. Jeff.
Chris, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. The KC Spirit Playbook will be Kansas City's next comprehensive plan. It will set priorities and guide our land use development decisions for years to come. That's why we're engaging our residents all across the city to make sure their feedback is part of the creation of this new comprehensive plan. We need our community engagement to be more inclusive than ever. That commitment is reflected in our branding that you saw through the video. We're calling it the Playbook because, as you saw in the video, we have sports-loving residents here, and we are using the theme of having them help us call the plays here as we build and grow. For the look, we've updated the iconic Norman Rockwell image you're seeing there. It still shows that famous roll up your sleeves Kansas City work ethic, but now has a more inclusive and diverse imagery to represent all of our residents. Our community engagement scheduled to start just as a pandemic hit last year. So we quickly pivoted to a high level of virtual engagement. Now we are starting to plan more in-person events in communities all across the city. We partner with community groups and outside agencies. Our Playbook website can be translated into dozens of languages, and we've hired an outreach team to cross the digital divide and ensure we're reaching those who cannot connect online. Equity is at the forefront of the creation of the KC Spirit Playbook in a way never really seen before in Kansas City. We strive to make the Playbook the manifestation of greater individual empowerment rather than systemic power. To present our second project, let me introduce Jason Waldron of KC Streetcar. Jason.
Good afternoon. I was trying working with my video here. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, guys, the KC Streetcar delivers equity every day on every ride because it's free to ride and offers 100% level boarding. Fare free makes it easy to hop on and off, whether using it to commute to work, to school, to dinner, or just to explore downtown. And level boarding provides access to all of our riders. It really has connected our communities and our neighborhoods. No fare means more money back in the pockets of our residents and businesses. We are now expanding the streetcar system again with no fares so that even more residents can choose how they travel around Kansas City and not be solely reliant on a car. This system is more than just transportation. It has sparked nearly $3 billion in economic development, and another wave of private investment is already underway as the rails expand both north and south of our original line. Our development map is dotted with new hotels, condos, businesses, and office buildings that have been going up within the streetcar district, as well as renovations and conversions of older businesses. When it comes to public engagement, this project purely stands tall and has been such a success because of the grassroots work by our residents who wanted more transportation options. A little history is, we've tried to do light rail and streetcar before, and we're not successful, but these residents took it upon themselves to go door to door to talk to voters, their neighbors, about the project, which then passed a series of 3 elections to approve the project, the taxes to fund it, and the creation of the Transportation Development District. The free fares also led to another big transportation change in Kansas City, the free bus ride initiative. With leadership from our mayor, our bus system has also eliminated fares, improving equality for public transportation in all neighborhoods across the city. Now let me introduce you to Roosevelt Lyons from KC Parks.
Thank you, Jason. Roosevelt Lyons. Kansas City has a nationally known park system. It also has a nationally accredited health department. We recently partnered to increase the life expectancy of our residents. We created the LifeX program after a health study revealed a shocking disparity. There is a 17-year difference in life expectancy in neighborhoods that are just 10 minutes apart, but on opposite sides of a historic racial dividing line. The life expectancy for an African-American male who lives in East Kansas City zip codes is 68 years. A white woman living on the west side of that line has a life expectancy of 85 years. Again, that's 17-year difference because of the long history of racial disparities in healthcare, wealth generation, educational opportunities, and racism in our country. LifeX is focused on the 6 zip codes with the lowest life expectancy. Here is one example of how KC Parks is making a difference. We have always had 3 maintenance districts, a North District, a Central District, and a South District, because geography, right? Now we have a 4th maintenance district, and that is called the Quality of Life Investment District. This district encompasses the 6 zip codes with the lowest life expectancy and focuses on improving the 38 park facilities within those 6 zip codes. Many of these parks have been neglected for many years. I should also note that we are doing this without additional funding. This is simple prioritizing these neighborhoods that are in need the most and reallocating our current funding. While our health department and parks department lead the project, other departments are collaborating to ensure that their programs help increase life expectancy as well. This is a strong commitment to a real change in real ways that will improve the health and quality of life for our residents. We will measure the outcomes with hard data over the years to hold ourselves accountable. This is how we are working towards equity in our parks and equity in the life expectancy of our residents. And now I'll return it back over to Chris Hernandez.
Thank you very much, Roosevelt. Now, as I was saying earlier, we all believe that Kansas City is an all-America city, and it's because, our people and our efforts to engage with them in all parts of our policy work. Having recently won the World Series and the Super Bowl, pride in our city is at an all-time high. We love our sports team, The world loves our jazz and barbecue. We are the city of fountains and the heart of the nation, and we believe we are an all-America city. Thank you so much for letting us present today, and we stand ready for your questions.
All right. Thank you, Kansas City. Let's see now what plays our jury is going to call. Let's start first with Margaret.
Thank you for the presentation. I love the branding of the playbook and the tie-in with all your great sports teams, almost as good as the Bay Area in California. But I wanted to ask about your streetcar program. I serve on our local transportation authority here in the region, and the challenges, as you know, with COVID has been the drop in ridership. And I was wondering, as we reopen, what are some of the strategies that you have been implementing to try to get folks back into transit, or have you experienced the drop in ridership as we have here in our areas?
Sure, Jason, if you want to take that, and then Peter, you can chime in from a resident point of view.
Yeah, great. No, that's certainly we saw the effects of COVID in the last year, like a lot of other transit agencies. I will, give a shout out to our bus group. They right from the start went to free fare to make sure that everyone had access to transit, and of course, the car was already free fare. And so we did see those drop-offs, and we wanted to be very respectful. We followed all the guidelines, but we're really seeing a rebound right now. We were seeing crush loads over the weekends. Of course, we're still following all the same policies, but we're finding people's appetite to want to return to some of the amenities in our downtown, and we're seeing that with our ridership numbers going up.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Peter Carnicelli. I've lived along our streetcar line since the construction phase, and I've really loved seeing the investment and development in the area. And I was actually part of that grassroots effort that Jason mentioned to expand the streetcar. And yeah, I've definitely seen the ridership drop during the pandemic as people are staying home and staying safe, and the hours were cut. But the hours are in the process of being restored now, and I'm really seeing a whole lot of people riding it right now, which is very encouraging for the future of our city. I love how our streetcar is free to ride, because that eliminates a barrier and makes people so much more likely to ride it if they can just hop on. And so I find that I really see a wide variety of people on board.
And real quick, Michael Golick, streetcar program coordinator. You touched on events. What are we doing to get ridership numbers up? Well, we recently just had an event that we coordinated with called Truce-to-Palooza. So as Roosevelt had brought up, Truce is the racial dividing line within our city. And this previous weekend, we actually had a concert to celebrate Truce-to-Palooza, to encourage residents to ride the streetcar, as well as encourage that neighborhood equality and equity that we want to see within our city. So we're doing events like that.
Excellent, thank you. Let's get Dante, then Terry, then Cece.
Great job, Kansas City. And as a frequent visitor, I could attest to the greatness and the quality of the barbecue in Kansas City. As I read through your application, the data around life expectancy was staggering to me. Being very familiar with the east and west sides of Truce, having that data presented to me was staggering. And Michael just touched on Truce-to-Palooza. My question is, strategies related to continuing to engage communities east and west of Truce in problem solving and being a part of the solution. Can you speak to that a little bit?
This is Jeff Williams. I'll kick that off a little bit. Michael talked about Truce-to-Palooza, an event bringing together neighborhoods on either side of that historic racial dividing line. And we as a city, really through neighborhood input, have brought communities together on either side of that line. The corridor become degraded over years, used as an activities that neighborhoods on either side of that line, regardless of demographic, were not pleased about. So they, as communities themselves, came together. They sought money through our municipal planning organization to begin to do planning studies and work collectively across the line to improve the character and quality and the land uses, not only along the corridor, but within their own neighborhoods. This is a corridor that went 10 years ago, from not having any commercial activity there, other things happening, to be a corridor through neighborhood crafting and participation of smaller scale infill commercial development, neighborhood infill housing, and much needed multifamily housing developments along that corridor. It would have been impossible to think 5 years ago if you mentioned an intersection at Troost, and we have one now, Troost and Armour Boulevard, which was a historic apartment boulevard, to now know that we're anticipating about 1,000 new units happening at that intersection is just something would not have been contemplated and would have only happened because we were positioned to listen to neighborhoods. We were positioned to use them as experts and to help work with identifying tools and strategies to bring unanimity and greater security and quality of life to neighborhoods on both sides of the line collectively. So I think that's the spirit, and that's what gets you to places like Troostapalooza and building more and more social and public infrastructure for the health and long-term high quality of those neighborhoods.
And we have Catherine, one of our residents, on the line as well. I believe that she could add to this part of the conversation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am president of the Heart of the City Neighborhood Association, which is located at the Dunbar neighborhood, which is a 100-plus-year-old community that is traditionally African American. And we have been working really closely with KC Parks and trying to partner with neighborhoods across the Troost line. As a matter of fact, our sister neighborhood is almost to the state line. And so we've been looking for events that we could do together, as well as just exchanging ideas about how we could really improve the quality of life in our neighborhood, because we are in one of those LifeX districts that Roosevelt had spoken about earlier. And we're trying to make sure we engage our residents and get people outside so that we can become healthier and enjoy our parks. And with the assistance of KC Parks and other departments, we are hosting the International Make Music Day for the second time. We did it last year in the midst of COVID, doing some sustainability initiatives for the community, and just looking to make sure that we can take the advantage of the pivot and the attention that's being given to the traditionally disadvantaged communities. And just looking forward to ways that we can engage people young and old, because we know that our future lies with our young people. And so even with our the playbook, we're trying to get the young people involved and learning how to engage and be civic minded. And so we really are excited about all the things that we can do through the quality of life improvement district and the programs that Roosevelt and the other leaders in the Parks Department are doing. So we know Kansas City is an all-American city. We just need to be able to shine. So our residents from our community even have had an impact worldwide. So we just are excited, and we just hope that we get selected so that we can show you what we can really do.
Well,
Thank you, Catherine.
Kansas City, thank you so much for continuing to shine and for making sure that your residents and the city and other partners are able to really come together to call the right plays to make an equitable community. So thank you so much for being an All-America City finalist, and we'll see you the next time you serve us some barbecue.
Come on down to Kansas City. We got you covered.
Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Kansas City. Now going to welcome Livermore, California into the room. Welcome, Livermore. All right, welcome, Livermore. Who should I be making co-host?
Michelle, Stephanie, and Stacy, please.
Right, Michelle, Dawson, Stacy, Kinnison, and Stephanie Egidio have been made co-host. Is that everyone who needs to be made co-host? Wonderful. All right, I will hand you off to Angela, who will get you started.
Excellent. Well, Livermore, California, are you ready to begin?
I think we might be waiting for somebody else to join. Give me 1 second here.
All right, you got about 1 second.
Oh, they're here. All right, thanks.
Perfect, then you may begin.
Greetings from Livermore, California. I'm Dawn Argula, CEO of the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce. Today, along with community members and partners, we are excited to show you a glimpse into our amazing community, one of the best places in the country to live, work, and play. Livermore is the location of California's oldest wine region, home to 2 national laboratories, and it's a technological hub with a booming downtown district. Since 1918, it has hosted the world's fastest rodeo. Shining since 1901, the longest burning light bulb is here, and we host the Little League Intermediate World Series and an arts and culture scene that offers something for everyone. Behind these great attractions are the people who make it all possible. We are excited to show you how Livermore has stepped up to make positive changes that will benefit future generations, embodying the theme of this year's All-America City Award, Building Equitable and Resilient Communities. In Livermore, we recognize that destigmatizing mental health through a deep commitment to the education and empowerment of our community members, especially with our youth, is key to sustaining a safe and supportive community. For more on this, Roxy Pittman.
Thank you, Don. Today's breaking news is all about mental health and how much it matters in our city of Livermore. Our focus is to increase mental health awareness and reduce the stigma of mental health in our city. We have trained 426 staff, parents, and community members in youth mental health first aid. We have a network of mental health partners to support our families and a mental health website. Most recently, we were selected as one of 3 pilot sites for teen mental health first aid. We've trained 450 Livermore High School sophomores to date, and now we'll go to Livermore High School Wellness Center and hear from student Emma.
I was among the group of students who got that training. We all did this program right before the pandemic, when I saw mental health crises significantly less than I see them now. In the past year, I have watched a friend go through certain hardships, and I'm not a therapist and I don't intend to be one, but because of my training, I can confidently say that I have been a large help to this student. To wrap up this part of our segment, I will be sending it off to Cassandra Torres in the Wellness Center. Remember to look, ask, listen, and better help your friend.
Hello and welcome to the Wellness Center. I am a culture keeper here. The Wellness Center is a safe place on our campus where students can come to relax and take a breather from the stress school brings. We have various helpful resources located behind me. Our culture keepers out of the room. We also help out students, as well as our amazing counselor, Mr. Radicki, who is a big part of the Wellness Center. Our goal is to spread awareness about mental health and reduce stigma at our campus. Now we move over to Granada High and their peer-to-peer education. Thank you.
Similarly, peer health education on the vaping crisis is a student-led mission to educate Livermore citizens about the harmful substances pushed by big tobacco, all the while encouraging them to fight for a safer community. Granada High School's Health Education Club in particular has been involved with passing the Tobacco Restriction License, a citywide ordinance that bans the sale of all flavored tobacco products within Livermore, making it significantly harder for youth to become addicted to these deadly devices. I'm Owen, and here's Will.
Since its implementation, we have educated thousands of people within Livermore on how dangerous flavored tobacco truly is, including parents, teachers, and most importantly, students. In an effort to make this education even more permanent within the community, the Granada Health Peer Educators has partnered with local health agencies, as well as forming a joint force with the Livermore Police Department. Here's Lynn Gardner.
Hi, I'm Lynn with the City of Livermore. For 48 years, the city's been committed to providing mental health services through Horizons Family Counseling which is a division of the Livermore Police Department. As city liaison to the Livermore Area Youth Commission, I work with students on issues of vaping, bullying, equity, and inclusion. I've worked with the school district to provide virtual mental health presentations for students, parents, and staff during the pandemic. The multi-generational approach we've taken is something that Livermore can be very proud of. Back to you, Don.
Thank you, Lynn. The tragic events of 2020 propelled many in our community into action. Livermore did not shy away from tackling these issues head on. New student clubs like Culture Doctors and Students for Social Change were formed in our schools, and staff received diversity, equity, and inclusion training. Las Positas College took significant steps to further its mission to provide an inclusive, equity-focused environment. Here from the college's interim Dean Eric Bell.
Yes, thank you, Don. One way we are doing this is by reimagining our public safety program. We've created a new certificate titled 21st Century Policing, which is designed to assist current law enforcement officers earn their associates and bachelor's degrees. This curriculum focuses on crisis intervention, bias awareness, mental health issues, and situational decision-making. We seek feedback through community listening sessions, which our city council and police department have actively participated in. Back to you, Don.
Thank you, Dean Bell. The community called upon the city to respond in a robust way. An equity and inclusion working group made up of community members was created to offer a safe space to share experiences, to discuss ways to advocate for equity and inclusion, and to make recommendations to the city council to enact change. Next, you will hear from 3 members of this working group. First up is Maniv.
Hi, my name is Manav Patel. I am a student from Las Positas College. On the youth subgroup, we focused on engaging youth, forming student affinity groups across our schools. During a youth panel, students shared their unique experiences as youth in our community. Our subgroup will recommend to the city to create youth mental health resources and offer life skill courses through the library. I will pass it on to Mariah.
My name is Mariah Chowdhury, and I'm a senior at Granada High School, as well as a member of the youth subgroup on the Equity and Inclusion group. In response to the protests and resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement, a few friends and I realized we wanted these discussions to continue into classrooms. We worked with our high school English department to incorporate diverse texts into our required curriculum and helped establish a new BIPOC authors course. We truly believe that these long overdue discussions will promote empathy throughout our diverse community. Over to Misty.
I'm Misty Rose, Livermore resident. After the murder of George Floyd, I looked over our police policies and was concerned about some of the wording. I contacted City Council and joined the policing group. Our first self-assigned project was to tighten up some use of force policies. We're also working on data analysis, options for responses to mental health calls, and developing a citizen advisory board. My biggest takeaway from this experience is that citizens and the police department can get things done when they work together, assume good intentions, listen carefully, and speak respectfully. Back to you, Don.
Thank you, Misty. Here in Livermore, we see the immense need for affordable housing and how tragic it can be when you are faced with choosing between a roof over your head or food on the table. Local artist Trent Thompson started the nonprofit art movement Pictures for People, creating portraits of individuals from Livermore's homeless community dedicated to painting a brighter future, one painting at a time, and highlighting the importance of feeling seen. Proceeds from the sale of his paintings are donated to local organizations. Another issue affecting our homeless seniors, families, and students is food insecurity, which has been intensified by the pandemic. Here is Matt from the Livermore Area Recreation and Park District to share how his organization assists our vulnerable populations. Matt?
Hello, jurors. With the pandemic shutting down all of our indoor facilities, LARPD focused on serving our vulnerable populations of youth, seniors, and unsheltered with daily meals, shelter during extreme conditions, child care for essential workers, mass vaccination clinics, senior life assistance, and quality outdoor recreation. Thank you. Back to you, Don.
Thank you, Matt. Now, providing affordable housing and housing for the homeless is a regional and statewide challenge. The community continues to deliver unique and innovative approaches to meeting this need. Kim Curtis from Goodness Village and Councilmember Bob Carling will talk about progress and results in these important areas.
Goodness Village is a tiny home community for our unsheltered neighbors in the Tri-Valley area. It has 28 tiny homes. They get to move into a 8x10 house that has a kitchenette and a full bathroom. So my dream is to provide permanent housing for people to leave their trauma, their fears, and begin to heal and start to thrive, find their purpose, just feel loved and safe and the quality of life that every human being should have. And I'm really excited to see how it unfolds and the stories that we're going to hear that come out of Goodness Village, and having the time for people to become who they really were meant to be.
You've just heard from Kim regarding a terrific collaboration to create Goodness Village. Let me now share that we also have 23 other housing projects in Livermore serving our low-income residents, providing over 930 units of housing with a portion designated for our unsheltered and those with disabilities. On the drawing board, we have 4 more projects that will create an additional 338 affordable units. I'll close by stating that progress continues as we constantly are on the alert for opportunities such as funding in the form of grants, or as land or property become available that will enable us to add to the mix of housing for those in need. Back to Dawn.
Thank you, Council Member. Indeed, incredible work is being done, really driven by the community, revealing and reflecting its values and laying out expectations for action today and for the future. This concludes our presentation from us here in Livermore, California. Thank you to the judges and to the National Civic League. We are honored to be named a finalist for the All-America City Award. Thank you.
All right, Livermore, thank you so much. Trying to get to see everyone. There we go. There are lots of questions popping up from the jury, but I'm just going to put myself at the top of the queue and ask a question of the youth, because as an education-focused person, it was so exciting to hear how your youth have really advocated for themselves and their needs, and then actually to have that lead to some concrete actions and concrete outcomes. One of the things I'm wondering about is your partnership with the police. So many youth are actually trying to remove police from their schools, and you all have taken a different approach. So just wondering if you can talk a little bit about what that's been like around partnering with the police, and any advice you might have from other communities that are thinking about doing that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm Will Tagger. I am the co-president of the Healthcare Educators. We formed a joint task force with the Livermore Police Department just this past year. And so our main goal through that has just been to provide more legislation on preventing tobacco from reaching our youth. And so, yes, as you said, many youth today are trying to kind of get police out of schools. And while that is still ongoing, we just believe that there is still a need for police to be involved with our schools, maybe not as much as before, but in the sense that their legislation and the benefits that it can provide in protecting our youth in terms of vaping and preventing tobacco from reaching them, that is mainly our purpose in working with them. And so I guess our advice for other districts, if they're trying to adopt the same policy, is to just test it out, but maybe not have anything concrete, because overall it's been a real pleasure getting to work with them, and we've definitely seen positive results.
Awesome, thank you so much. Let's get Maya, and then Margaret, and then Josh.
All right, Livermore, I am so impressed with your intentional and thoughtful presentation and all of your emphasis on mental health and reducing that mental health stigma. So you have such a plethora of resources, from the MHAT programming to being a pilot site, and lots of virtual resources. And being in the healthcare industry, I assume there's probably some challenges with getting the community to be aware and utilize all of these resources. So what has been your main strategy in getting the community and the youth to take advantage and approach all of these mental health assets and not be overwhelmed by them?
Hi, well, I'm Lisa Hannon and Danner. I coordinate mental health awareness in our school district, and we have had a multitude of approaches over the last 3 years to get our community engaged in all of our mental health efforts. One was just kind of handed to us in our laps when the pandemic hit, and we were searching for a way to connect with parents. And fortunately for us, we were ready to go with our virtual presentations. We have wonderful partnerships with our community mental health agencies, and we were able to contact them. And by last May, we were already offering a series of parent webinars. We had also previously established a mental health website, which we promote through various social media, and it's available on our district website. We have an events calendar for the youth mental health first aid trainings we're offering to parents and community members, as well as staff. And just through all of the various advertisements that we have done, we've been able to attract people to all of the different presentations, and also just working with the city, because for one of our mental health grants, we are in partnership with the city of Livermore, and getting their buy-in, working together, we've been able to promote all of the work that we're doing.
All right, fantastic. Let's get Margaret and Josh, and if we have time, we'll squeeze in Lexi.
Hello, Livermore. As a resident close by to you, I live in Mountain View, California. I'm a big fan of your city. I frequent it quite often for especially your shopping opportunities. So thank you for your wonderful presentation. I'm really, really impressed by the participation of the youth. And as a mom, that's always been a priority for me too. And Angela asked the question about the police relationship with the police, because yes, that's been the issue that we're grappling with, is how do we build collaboration instead of being divisive, and with mental health too. And I'll focus my question there. It seems like the school has been really instrumental in leading the charge, which is fantastic. And I was hoping you could maybe elaborate more on the city, what the city's participation is, and have you seen any challenges there in terms of just like the jurisdictional issues of, whose territory it is in dealing with the issue of mental health?
Sure. Well, when we began to focus our efforts through our federal mental health grants almost 3 years ago now, one of the very first things, in fact, the first thing that we did was to schedule a meeting with the chief of police and representatives of the city and our school district, and to talk about our plan for how we were going to approach and tackle this issue together. And that really formed a wonderful foundation for working collaboratively. As part of the 426 people adults that we've trained so far in youth mental health first aid, I'm proud to report that that also includes our school resource officers, We also trained a school resource officer as one of the instructors for youth mental health first aid. And through the agency that Lynn represents, Horizons, we also trained their clinical manager, who is bilingual, as an instructor in youth mental health first aid. And so when we present youth mental health first aid classes in Spanish, they're being taught by our bilingual school psychologist, who you heard from, Roxy, and from the clinical manager at Horizons. That provides a wonderful connection for parents to connect with resources that are available not only through the school district, but through the city as well. So it's a true partnership that we have.
And as a superintendent, I could just add that before we start any large initiative, even though it starts maybe with youth who surface the need, we always have student forums that include representatives from our city and our government and even beyond local politics. So the genesis comes from the future, who are future voices from the kids. We empower that, but the solutions and the it takes the network of all of the collaboration from all the agencies to really make it come to fruition. And we've never ever had any wavering in support with that from our city or our other partners, the college and the Parks Department.
Excellent. Let's see if we can get a really quick question from Josh.
Sure. Thanks for a great presentation. I was really interested to read in the application about your tiny home initiative to address homelessness. It's something that a lot of jurisdictions around the country are considering or trying to implement. And I see that you said it says when fully operational. I'm wondering, could you give us a sense of sort of what the timeline for that is, and how did you get everyone on the same page to actually put it into action in terms of from wraparound service providers for health services and get the funding and the planning and whatnot? Can you just speak to that? I know it's in a short amount of time, I guess. So, do
you want me to tackle that question? So I'm Bob Carling. I'm on City Council, and I've been very much involved with tiny home since the beginning, and it's been a true collaboration. I think you've heard from Kelly and others about how the collaborative efforts within the city were undertaken. It was with the county, the Crosswinds Church, which is a local congregation in town, and the city of Livermore. Fortunately, the Crosswinds has 35 acres of land, and one of our former county supervisors were very interested in investing in some tiny homes because many of us had traveled to Austin, Texas to see what the success there was. And we learned that, it's really the creation of a true community that was really important in providing the wraparound services. So the financing from the county, the collaboration of the city staff here to enable all the necessary utilities, frankly, that need to be put in. And we essentially started in January, and the first occupants will be moving in this month. So it's pretty quick turnaround for, if you will, a government organization, even a city like ours. So it's been a true collaboration. We've hired a person, Kim Curtis, to lead it, and she's terrific and will provide all the necessary wraparound services there to create a sense of community for the folks living in the tiny homes.
There are a lot of jurisdictions around the country that could learn from what you're doing there on that front. So,
yes, and we would be glad to help out in any way we could.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Livermore. As an educator and someone who works on leadership, it's great to see the youth really educating the community and leading in their advocacy and leading to results. And I think Ms. Lynn talked about the what did you say? The multi-generational approach really being something that Livermore can be proud of. I feel the pride for you, and we're so excited that you are an All-America City finalist. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Livermore, and appreciate your presentation. As a reminder, you can continue watching the other presentations from the main stage, Facebook or YouTube. But for now, we're going to welcome in our next finalist, the City of Bellevue.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome and thank you for joining us, Bellevue. Who should I be making co-host?
Why don't you make me a co-host?
Mike McCormick?
Thank you.
Yes. All right, Mike, you have been made co-host, and is everyone else in the room who needs to be in the room?
I'm checking right now, Rebecca.
Great, thanks.
Good afternoon. We have everyone in the room, Rebecca.
Wonderful. I will hand you off to Angela, who will get you started.
Great, thank you.
Good afternoon, Bellevue, Washington. Are you ready to begin?
We are ready.
Excellent. You may begin.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brad Miyake, and I am the city manager of Bellevue, Washington. You know, before we get started, I wanted to comment, and I hope the illustration is up behind me. This illustration was created by residents to describe Bellevue's response to this past year as a caring and resilient community. I'm so proud and inspired by the work that our residents, service organizations, and city staff accomplish every day for our dynamic community. It's an honor to introduce you to our city and to 3 specific efforts that are helping Bellevue to become a more equitable and resilient community that welcomes the world in all we do. With that, can we start the video?
Sorry, Bellevue, we're not hearing sound on the video. If you wouldn't mind restarting it and making sure you share the sound option when you share screen.
Are you seeing the screen now?
Yes, we're seeing it.
Bellevue welcomes the world. Our diversity is our strength.
We embrace the future while respecting our past.
All those in favor of adopting Resolution 8856 as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The diversity advantage work does not sit with individuals, and it is a celebration of the efforts across the organization, the partnerships and collaborations with community partners.
If there's one ask I can make of you to help move this forward, let's talk about it.
Play should be accessible to everyone. And what the Inspiration Playground symbolizes is that idea that all kids, everyone, should have access to enjoyment and play.
Diversity is not just a blanket statement of we see differences and we value differences, but that we are going to do right by everybody.
Cielo a Dios y a las personas que han llegado a nuestra vida, incluyendo Jubilee, hemos podido salir adelante.
We stand strong together, and I thank you all.
My name is Elena Casio, and I'm the Diversity and Inclusion Administrator. In Bellevue, Washington, we are on the indigenous land of Coast Salish peoples who have reserved treaty rights, including the Duwamish, Suquamish tribe, Muckleshoot Indian tribe, and the Snoqualmie Indian tribe. This land did not become a majority minority city overnight. In fact, from the tribes to earlier settlers, dreamers, and families of Japanese Americans who tended to the blueberry and strawberry fields, Bellevue has always had a rich cultural and racial diversity. Today, many choose to call Bellevue home, a multicultural hub of over 50% communities of color, 41% immigrants and refugees, and a linguistic diversity that makes hearing other languages from playgrounds to schools to public spaces the norm. As the city evolved from a quiet suburbia to a community that brings many cultures, ideas, and varied experiences together, it was evident that Bellevue needed to learn and to be agile about the changing needs and values of our community. We do this work with the head, heart, and hands, moving away from traditional models of engagement around paternalism and transactional relationships to meaningful and transformative, and where the communities that we serve are at the forefront. The city dedicated 2 years to engage and understand community needs and the role that government plays in building a community that is equitable and inclusive. And it was informed by this community feedback that the Diversity Advantage Plan was adopted by Council in 2014. The city was able to flip the mirror back to the organization and provide opportunities for staff to engage in training around diversity, equity, and inclusion, establish employee resource groups, citywide equity initiatives around hiring, contracting and procurement, universal design and language access, among other impactful organizational changes. Our community engagement hosts over hundreds of programs a year, and while in a pandemic, we have been able to adapt to a new normal, including successfully hosting our 6-year anniversary summit, where we brought over 250 individuals to learn and recommit to our vision of being a place of belonging for all who choose to live, work, or play in Bellevue. As we advance the work of the Diversity Advantage Initiative, the national dialogue on policing and addressing racial systemic inequities have become commonplace. We have been challenged to go much deeper than simply looking at diversity and inclusion to understanding and building literacy around the root cause of inequities and addressing them fearlessly through new racial equity initiatives such as Bellevue Center's Communities of Color and Hate Has No Home Here, and sustain a safe container for the painful but courageous work around racial healing. The Diversity Advantage Initiative is not just a plan. It is also a commitment that can be an untidy process. It is about the tough and brave dialogues, but certainly it is a reimagining together with our communities about how we may be accountable and responsive and work towards becoming an equitable and resilient community.
My name is Robert Rose, past president of the Rotary Club of Bellevue and founder of the Rose International Fund for Children. The original inspiration for Inspiration Playground came out of my 23 years of volunteer work, working with children with disabilities in Nepal and adult volunteers. Without fail, I would see a magical transformation take place when volunteers met children with disabilities. This interaction would quickly change perceptions for the volunteers, and the children's disability faded into the background. The initial sadness of the volunteers turned to joy and understanding. With or without disabilities, these were kids, just like any other kids. So I asked myself, what experiences can I take from Nepal and incorporate into my own hometown while engaging both my Rotary Club and the community in a legacy type of project? Following an initial meeting with the city's parks director, the concept for Inspiration Playground was born. We reached out to many local advocacy organizations and to families that had children with disabilities, and we asked them, what features would you like to see in an accessible playground? One dad in our community, Mark Gabara, who has a 6-year-old daughter with cerebral palsy, was very passionate about the effort to build what is now Inspiration Playground. And he told us, it makes all the difference to a child in a wheelchair, whether they always have to be outside the castle and watch other kids play, as opposed to being able to play and pretend they're a princess inside the castle. Over the 6 years of this partnership, all 200 members of my Rotary Club gave of their time, expertise, personal contacts, and connections. Building a playground with accessible features is a huge monetary investment, but it's also a priceless investment in our vision and dream to bring the entire community together while changing perceptions about disabilities. Families now come from around the entire region to experience Inspiration Playground. And I can proudly say that my city believes in accessibility, inclusion, tolerance, and understanding. And they put those words into action with impact. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Carpenter, and I'm the Director of Community Care at Jubilee Reach. Jubilee Reach was founded in 2006 as a nonprofit located in the heart of one of the most diverse neighborhoods of Bellevue. Our focus is on building community, bringing healing, and transforming lives through 4 ways: deep involvement in the Bellevue Public Schools, an active community center, a community thrift store, and numerous community events. Jubilee shares a vision with the City of Bellevue of creating a community where everyone feels like they belong. Gaps which prevent this are actively sought out, and we step in to close them. In March 2020, the pandemic quickly sent some people in our community into economic crisis. The school district reported the greatest emergency as families, which were losing employment, income, and support. Many were immigrants, people of color, and those already living in or near poverty, which is who Jubilee normally serves. Understanding these demographics, we acted within days, asking questions, listening to the needs, and building a program to support them. On March 23rd, 2020, Groceries for Families opened as a COVID response, completely outside the normal operation of Jubilee Reach. Existing partners were engaged to bring essentials of groceries, diapers, hygiene, and pantry items to Jubilee each morning, and families came to Jubilee to receive these same items each afternoon. In the first week, 60 families were helped. Growing steadily, by the end of June, it had grown to serve 682 families. With the pandemic and need continuing, the program was extended to July 1st, 2021, and it continues today to support 700 plus families with weekly essentials. Cash donations have also provided many families with $300 in rent or utility support, now totaling well over $100,000. Deep partnerships of trust with many churches, organizations, and businesses allowed this to begin so quickly and be sustained for so long. Together, we've been supporting these families as one community. Through all of this, we strive to do everything in relationship. It is not a transaction. Families are known here. They find community here. We want them to feel friendship and love. We want them to be seen and to know someone cares. And when they leave with essentials of food, diapers, and more, we want them to leave with hope, peace, and an understanding that they are a valued member of this community, they matter, and they belong. Thank you.
So thank you, Elaine, Bob, and Ken. Awesome job. The programs that each of you lead are a glimpse into the ongoing resolve and commitment in Bellevue to welcome the world as an equitable and resilient community. Thank you, National Civic League, for hosting this virtual conference. Bellevue is grateful to be acknowledged with 19 other inspiring cities as a finalist for the 2021 All-America City Award. So thank you.
Thank you, Bellevue. And let's see what questions our jury members have for you. Let's see, I'll start off. The Inspiration Playground, it's just so clear that that is a place of love and joy and belonging. And I'm wondering, not to sound technical about it, but how do you capture that? How do you measure that joy or capture or share ways that love and joy and belonging are happening with students? Kind of how do you tell the success story?
Pam, if you would unmute and take that question, please.
I would be happy to, Mark. My name is Pam Fairman, and I had the privilege of working with Rob Rose and our community on behalf of the city to help fund and develop Inspiration Playground. I think since the playground has opened, whereas we don't actually have counts of attendance, I can share with you that it is the most well-attended playground in our city. We have also initiated programs. You may have heard as part of our submission, the Ambassador Program, which was designed to build community engagement by having high school and college students, including the youth board, provide community service hours as becoming ambassadors within the playground, so that they could help facilitate and educate while play occurs. Since that point in time, we have worked to even modify that program further, and we have created adaptive city day camps, and we are reaching out to adult family homes and the Bellevue School District, so that we can provide that same type of facilitation on a broader scale. So the inclusiveness of the development of this playground is not standing still. We are reaching further into the community.
Rob, if you would like to comment on that briefly as well. We want to get to other questions, but Rob Rose, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, I've been contacted by 4 or 5 other Rotary clubs from other cities and communities within Washington State who've heard about this playground, and they want to do it in their own community, something inclusive, something accessible. And so it's been really exciting. I love to share my experience in working with the city and working with community partners and corporations and foundations, so that this concept can replicate in other communities, wherever that might be. It's a really exciting opportunity, and it's drawn a lot of attention.
Looks like we have a question from Cece.
Hi, thank you. And great presentation, Bellevue. Thank you so much for sharing so much with us about all of your plans. I really enjoyed reading about the Diversity Advantage Initiative and hearing a little bit about that from you today as well, and how it is rooted, in Elaine's words, in hearts and hands, and really thinking about creating a place of belonging for everybody. And I think those are important factors. I'm curious, after the year that we've had in 2020, if any of that has really shifted for you as far as like priorities, or how you're engaging and approaching the work to really create systems change within your community.
I'll go ahead and take that. Thank you for that question, Cece. And yes, you're right. I think 2020, with the pandemic, with social and civic unrest, as government, I think anybody that was maybe comfortable during this last year was probably not doing their work right. But through some of the things that we have experienced, the big lessons on that really is how do we as public servants center communities, in particular communities of color, and the different and changing needs, and recognizing too that perhaps we have through time and history, there's inadvertent ways in which we might not have provided the same services or programs across the board. And so one of the programs that I mentioned in the presentation was centering communities of color. And that actually came from many feedback from community members about, how are decisions made, how are.
Uh-oh. Elaine, you went on mute. You can unmute yourself.
Sorry, I said that the host muted me, so I didn't know if I was supposed to stop talking. But it was really a leaning in and listening into our communities, in particular communities of color, who were saying, hey, we've got different sets of priorities. And so centering communities of color, CC, to your question, is one of the ways in which Bellevue is doing that. We had various meetings at City Hall, and as you saw in the video, protest. And I think even with police use of force, I know that that's a nationwide conversation. Bellevue has engaged in that, and as I said, that some of those community engagement opportunities of leaning in, listening to things that we might not know, but we need to hear about, have really prompted some of these new initiatives. In addition to Hate Has No Home, which was another initiative that was mentioned, and that was really in addressing the rise in anti-Asian hate, and how Bellevue as a community, and not just between government and residents, but as a community as a whole, the nonprofit sector, private sectors can come together and demonstrate kind of, what does being in Bellevue, and what are some of the things that we will stand for in Bellevue in solidarity.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Let's see what other questions our jury members have. Let's get a question from Mayor Shelton. And Mayor Shelton, you are muted.
Sorry. Kind of a statement first of just congratulations. The submission, I was just instantly impressed by the inclusivity, the community spirit, the initiatives, being proactive in the community. And I really just wanted to commend you on that and say congratulations on a job well done. I kind of wanted to throw a question that's sometimes hard. What is something that has not been said that you would like for the jurors to know? Like, what's something about the city that you think is special that hasn't been mentioned? Maybe a hard question.
I'd like to say something. My project, the project I worked on that involves so many people and so much of the city time and energy, my project was kind of a miracle project. I mean, it was such a long shot coming out of nowhere with this idea, that concept to bring people with and without disabilities together in an accessible playground. And when I first I took a bicycle ride in my area, and I saw another riverfront park that had a rotary wheel in it. And I contacted that Rotary Club, and they said it was this public-private partnership they did. And so I hadn't told anybody about my idea, except I think my mom. And I called into the city of Bellevue, and I thought they would, shrug it off or whatever, but they invited me to come in. And not only were they interested in doing this inclusive park idea, but they wanted to do it in our downtown park. And it was just phenomenal that they were that open to a concept that really was a lot like a jump off a cliff. I mean, we had so many opportunities to fail, and without the city's support and without so much passionate involvement from everybody involved, we would have never been successful. But it was a kind of a minor miracle. But thanks to the city, really, to be open to that kind of an opportunity, it's
great. It's very impressive.
Could I also say something? That'd be all right. So my name is Ken, and I'm a resident of Bellevue. I grew up in rural Spokane out in Eastern Washington. I moved here in 92. I moved to Bellevue in 96, and have been involved with the city through my profession for just maybe the last 7 years. But as a resident, I just want to say, since Jason, you gave us the floor, that I have been consistently proud of this city for so many reasons, and for all the right reasons that you just want a city to be and to do. And when you get involved in the inside of the city and you start to see the people like Mark and Patricia and those that work at City Hall, my goodness, they are working for this community and for every single person here. And I've gone through the permitting process when I've rebuilt a house. I've seen what they do in the community. And since you asked, Jason, I just want to say I'm exceptionally proud of this city as someone who lives here and watches it every single day for the last 25 years.
Elaine, were you going to say something real quick?
I will just say that, you know, as a city employee, I do think in this last year and some of the lessons learned in COVID-19, I am proud of the city of Bellevue and just the ways in which, you know, COVID-19 showed us just kind of disparate impacts across different communities, and the way that the city of Bellevue really retooled the ways that it was not business as usual, and, you know, ways in which we did outreach, different programming that came out from even COVID-19. And a lot of that, I will actually say, it's not because of the city of Bellevue, it's because of the strong community partnerships, and that they had enough trust in the city to be able to voice their concerns and what they needed.
Well, thank you. That is a wonderful way to end. So Bellevue, Washington, working together with your head and your heart and your hands and collaborating, you have managed to make a miracle project, many miracle projects happen. So congratulations and thank you once again for being an All-America City finalist.
Thank you so much, Bellevue.
Thank you.
We're going to welcome our last finalist community of the day. We have Fort Lauderdale up next. Right, and I actually believe that Fort Lauderdale is already in the house, and I believe they need to be made co-hosts. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Right, Fort Lauderdale, can you do a quick sound check for us?
I can do a sound check for you, City of Fort Lauderdale, and we are bringing you FTL Jeopardy. This is FTL Jeopardy. Can you hear us okay?
We're going to be
Yes.
sued for copyright infringement.
Yes, we
It'll
can
be
hear
worth getting the award.
Yeah.
We can hear you perfectly. I'm going to hand you over to Angela.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
We're on the edge of our seats. Fort Lauderdale, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, are you ready to begin?
We are ready.
Then you may begin.
Hi, I'm Dean Trantalis, Mayor of beautiful Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I'd like to welcome you to our 2021 presentation for this year's All-America City. We are so excited to be part of this fantastic event. You know, we were once honored in 2014, and we welcome back the opportunity to once again participate in this program. We work very hard to be both resilient and equitable. We are a community that is excited to show you these values through today's presentation of FTL Jeopardy. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our Director of Communications, Mr. Mark Fine. Mark.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It is always an honor. And ladies and gentlemen, this is FTL Jeopardy. I am your host, Mark Fine, and we've got a very special show for you today. Our contestants are project contestants. They'll be competing for the best Fort Lauderdale community project. So let's meet those contestants. Our first contestant from the Housing and Community Development Division, Rachel Williams. Hello, Rachel. Next up, he's our Community Court Administrative Supervisor, Chris Leonard. Hi, Chris. And our final contestant, always prepared. He comes from Fire Rescue and is ready to take the heat of competition, Chief Jermaine Frazier. Chief Frazier, you're ready to take the heat, so you're the first one in it. You get to make our first selection.
All right, I'll take inclusive and equitable engagement for 200.
Okay, this is a method the city used to pinpoint suitable locations to increase the inventory of affordable housing and reduce the cost of transportation for our neighbors. Rachel, you chimed in first.
What is identify citywide affordable housing locations close to public transportation?
And that is absolutely correct. A recommendation from Housing and Urban Development is that a combination of housing and transportation costs should not exceed 45% of a family's income. By providing affordable housing near public transportation, this helps bring down the overall cost for housing and transportation. All right, Rachel, you have control of the board.
Innovative solutions for 200.
And that brings us our first video, Daily Double.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Miller, and I've been a longtime supporter and volunteer of the Fort Lauderdale CERT program. As part of this team, I often take my bike out to the beach or along our infamous Las Olas Street to help with monitoring the safety of large crowds. This team has a total of 4 bikes, and each is equipped with life-saving technology, including GPS, sirens, medical equipment, and a portable AED. The beach is calm now, but we often have concerts and festivals that inevitably create crowds too large for firefighters and paramedics to easily navigate. As an innovative solution to this problem, the city created the team as a subset of volunteers to ensure the safety of our community.
All right, Jermaine, you chimed in first.
What is the CERT bike team?
That is correct. In 2020, when the beaches opened up again after the pandemic, the bike team was part of the CERT Beach Ambassadors team. They were sanctioned at, or stationed, I should say, at the beach, where they welcomed visitors back and provided education about safety and social distancing. All right, Jermaine, you retain control of the board.
All right, let's go with building resilient communities for 1,000.
Name the title of a person who successfully completes the Community Court program. In order to do so, that person must complete the recommended treatment, community service hours, upon which they will receive a dismissal of their charges. Chris.
What is a community court program graduate?
And that is absolutely correct. Good job. The Broward Clerk of Courts reported 147 cases filed with 863 hearings. Now, even with the impact of COVID in 2020, Community Court was able to provide 215 treatment and service referrals. Chris, you retain control of the board.
I'll take inclusive and equitable engagement for 600.
The eligible age range for this Learning for Life career education program, organized by the Fire Rescue's Emergency Management Team, is 14 to 21 years old. The program has graduated over 750 youths since its inception 31 years ago. Oh, almost unfair. Jermaine, you chimed in first.
What is the Fire Explorers program?
And yes, that is correct. Did you know, I'm sure Jermaine did, that the program serves as an expansion of Fire Rescue's disaster preparedness and recovery. They also focus on increasing job readiness. All right, Jermaine, you retain control of the board.
Resilient communities for 600.
And that is another Video Daily Double.
This is a program that was utilized to repurpose a 1950s era home and transform the property into 100% energy efficiency. Thanks to the program, the home was completed with a range of energy-saving technology, including solar panels, impact-resistant windows, and a tankless water heater, all of which will help to decrease the overall cost of living while simultaneously reducing the community's carbon footprint.
Thanks to funding provided by this city program, a low-income family was able to purchase this home and benefit in the long term from the cost-saving technology. Ultimately, the City of Fort Lauderdale hopes to expand this program to further improve housing affordability and sustainable living.
All right, Rachel, you buzzed in first on this one.
What is the Home Investment Partnership Program?
You got it. The Home Investment Partnership Program provides formula grants to states and localities that communities use. All right, Rachel, you pick again.
Innovative solutions for 600.
This is the only court of its kind in the state of Florida, designed to address the needs of at-large, homeless, and low-level first-time and repeat offenders. It also addresses quality of life issues for neighbors in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Chris, you chimed in first.
What is the 17th Judicial Circuit Community Court at Fort Lauderdale?
And that is correct. Since its adoption in the city, its collaboration has helped open access to services for those experiencing homelessness. So Chris, you pick again.
Resilient communities for 200.
This is the total number of CERT programs that the City of Fort Lauderdale CERT team supports across the entire county. Jermaine.
What is 14?
And that is correct. These 14 programs cross-collaborate across local and regional borders to provide disaster preparedness and training resources throughout Broward County. All right, Jermaine, your choice.
Inclusive and equitable engagement for 1,000.
And you just found our final daily double.
I am Renise, the program coordinator at SunServe. We provide outpatient substance abuse therapy, medication management, and life skills along with other resources to our LGBTQ and transgender community.
I'm Officer Sandy. I am one of Fort Lauderdale's homeless outreach officers. I work to build long-standing relationships with our homeless population living on the streets.
My name is Tanya. I work at Henderson Behavioral Health and I serve those with persistent mental health needs. Through a collaborative effort, we work to provide our local homeless population with equitable access to mental health resources. With our collective knowledge, we came together as part of this particular committee to help develop the community court blueprint.
All right, Chris, you were quickest with the thumb that time. What do you got?
What is the Community Court Steering Committee?
Outstanding. As part of the initial design and makeup of the community court, the steering committee wanted to ensure each homeless participant was also given the adequate resources and support they needed to succeed. All right, Chris, you select again.
Innovative solutions for 1,000.
Decreasing the housing and transportation cost, increasing the inventory of affordable housing, finding affordable housing locations, and fostering the growth of high-paying jobs and industries. Rachel, you're up.
What is the Fort Lauderdale's multi-mitigation strategies to increase housing affordability?
Right on the money. Nice job. The city took advantage of state incentive programs to diversify the local economy and target businesses. By the end of 2019, 399 new jobs were created through the Qualified Target Industry Program. Well, guess what? That wraps up our first edition of FTL Jeopardy here in the beautiful city of Fort Lauderdale. All of our contestants played great. We actually have our first ever three-way tie. Congratulations to everybody, all three programs earning the title of Best Fort Lauderdale Community Project. Congratulations. Now for some closing comments, we welcome in our city manager, Chris Lagerblum. Chris?
Yeah, so thank you to the National Civic League for considering the city of Fort Lauderdale for the All America City Award. In Fort Lauderdale, our residents are our neighbors. We are here because of them, and we are committed to provide them with the highest quality of service. We have an active network of neighborhoods. We seek input, welcome feedback, and encourage collaboration from the start of new ideas until the implementation of programs. We're honored to be a finalist for this award, and we look forward to learning from other cities as we continue to build an equitable and resilient community in Fort Lauderdale. Thank you.
And we're going to bring our three contestants back up onto the stage to answer questions, along with some of our writers, producers, and directors, I guess you will, who are on hand as well to answer if needed. But we will get it back to you in Grand Central.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Fort Lauderdale. You heard it here, folks. Mark Fine is now the leading contender to replace Alex Trebek. You got my vote, Mark. Let's get
I have a good job.
All right. Let's get a question first from Dante.
Thank you, Fort Lauderdale, for the entertaining and informative presentation. Question about your community court. As a prior or previous court administrator and being fairly well versed in problem solving courts and issues with criminalizing homelessness or poverty, talk to me about your strategy, your approach to engaging community stakeholders and partners and what traditionally is a criminal justice adjudication focused model.
Hi, I'm Christopher Leonard, the Community Court Coordinator. Thank you so much for your question. Initially, when we were developing the community court program here in Fort Lauderdale, the needs assessment was completed. And during that needs assessment, one of those activities was engaging stakeholders. Through there, we were able to engage a variety of stakeholders, including local officials, social service providers, police, different agencies, including faith-based organizations. We look to really pull a diverse group in regards to stakeholders, those that are serving the community and those that were interested in serving the community, really to come together to help identify the resources and the needs that we were going to be able to address through this and the impacts local business owners, individuals impacted, and those experiencing homelessness.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, other questions. I will jump in with a question about the emergency management team, the CERT. I was just really impressed about that ground up effort, that really volunteer and resident led effort. And just wondering, what challenges did you encounter in, or are you encountering in developing and executing such an important program, and how did you overcome them? So maybe, one or two examples of challenges and how you overcame them.
I would say some of our challenges are actually having to say no sometimes. We have a very diverse and dynamic city, but a lot of our residents who take pride in giving back to our community. So my job actually has been very easy to coordinate a lot of the efforts and just keeping everybody on the same page. It's a very good cohesive group, and they work well together. So I think that some of our challenges were actually a positive.
All right, great, thank you. What other questions do we have from the jury? Let's get Mayor Daley. I'm sure you have a question to ask.
Well, being the mayor up in Tallahassee, I was kind of steering away from Fort Lauderdale to give them a wide breath. I have to say, though, that is probably one of the best presentations thus far through creativity. I love it. I am so impressed on how smart you all are. Y'all did not miss a single question. It worked extremely well. Going back to the CERT team, great job, fantastic. But what are some of the lessons learned through trial and error along the journey of creating the team and making sure that it has the success that it has?
I would say putting the right people in the correct positions. We have a vast group of residents, and just finding the right position for them allows them to be able to rise to the occasion. And then doing that involves knowing the members who are on the CERT team, involving them with our trainings. And we learn a lot by simply that, trial and error, and by doing. We usually do monthly CERT training and meetings where we get to learn the expertise and skill set of all of our CERT members. And then we'll apply them to certain positions that we will need, whether it be a sitting position to take tickets or administration, to someone who can actually go out and help us literally with boots on the ground to augment the resources that we have for police, fire, public works, or whatever city department that might need our help.
Quick follow-up, if I could. Great concentration on physical health, the immediate need, heart attack, you got the life-saving equipment. Tell me about your concentration on mental health services, and is this the first of several steps, or is the CERT team also properly trained to respond to mental health services when they come in contact?
Well, mental health, and I'm a firm believer of seeking the correct subject matter expert for the job. Right. So with that being said, we had a few Zoom meetings this year with COVID to maintain the social distancing. And within those Zoom meetings, I was able to have some subject matter experts from here and around South Florida to participate in that. One of them was our chaplain who participated in some behavioral health, mental illness. We also had a few officials from within Broward County who came, and they did a presentation on mental health, along with a few webinars, or seminars that were done where they can individually seek help and to be able to help others based upon the information they were provided.
Excellent, thank you. Love coming down to Fort Lauderdale. Y'all keep up the great work and awesome presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think we can get one more quick question from Mayor Shelton.
Excuse me, I'd echo the remarks on just fantastic presentation. That was great. I was kind of wondering on the community court, how was the buy-in from kind of the courthouse crowd? I'm a lawyer before I became mayor, so the kind of the courthouse crowd, that type thing, then among law enforcement, and then just kind of as the general public at large, what kind of buy-in did you have on that, or public support, if you will?
Sure. Thank you so much for your question. With that, I do know that Chief Judge Jack Tudor here in Broward County was a big advocate for this program and for the opportunity to be able to collaborate to really address the revolving door that was being seen in the system, and to really address the quality of life needs of the individuals that we were serving. Along with Fort Lauderdale Police, we do have outreach officers that focus on homeless outreach, and they were previously dedicated to homeless outreach, but with this, it was a great opportunity to bring those efforts together. And along with the city, there was a eagerness to bring entities together to be able to find a solution to such a complicated or complex issue. So really bringing that innovative approach and that collaboration was super important here. And when in regards to the public, the city of Fort Lauderdale does do a neighbor survey. And part of that for community court, when neighbors were surveyed about how options for addressing homelessness, establishing at that time, it was, I believe, stated as a homeless court. And across all 4 districts, we received support for that in that survey. And so that was definitely taken into consideration during the development. Ultimately, it was called community court because we believe that that it gives power to the community, and it's really a community based collaborative. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
All right, I have one more, hopefully quick question, which is about the Housing Investment Partnership. Just wondering how the private sector, it's clear how the public sector was involved, wondering how the private sector was involved, to either businesses, for-profit or nonprofit, not-for-profit.
Okay, so through our Home Investment Partnership Program, we seek to collaborate with nonprofits. We call them community housing development organizations. And in our world, we refer to them as CHODOs. And we typically put out a request for a proposal, and we review those requests for proposal based on the most innovative ideas and the ideas that advance our commission top priority, which one of our commission's top priority is affordable housing. And typically, we also engage the community in our annual planning meeting, which is advertised through different platforms, through flyers, through our various community service boards, and to get the public engagement to see what kind of housing the community is in need of and exactly what they're looking for.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for bringing us home with such a high energy presentation. You closed us out in style. So thank you so much for all of your collaborative work and for being an All-America City finalist.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Fort Lauderdale, and thank you to everyone who presented during this block. We will be right here on the virtual main stage, your Facebook feed or your YouTube feed, in about half an hour for tonight's awards announcement and keynote addresses. We'll be announcing the All-America City Hall of Fame award winners, as well as the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Health Equity Award winner. We will be hearing from our keynote speaker, Mayor Lori Lightfoot from Chicago, Illinois. So please tune in here in about half an hour. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much.